Hello, you lovely, lovely people. Welcome back. It's relatively quiet for where I am. Don't speak too soon, Stephen. Please don't speak too soon. I've just heard the people down there are going to start feeding their pig. I've just seen him walk around with some pig feed, so we might have a squealing pig. But anyway, there's a church. What kind of a squeal was that from a chicken? The church, they have this thing of 9 days before Christmas. And they do in their preaching. It's okay, it's quite nice actually. But we aren't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about two things. And these two things were brought up by a subscriber, Cockerel. And they're starting to roost now because it's getting to the evening. I thought, I'll wait now because it's going to be relatively quiet. Well, it is relatively quiet for where I live. Two things which a subscriber asked me through an email. And he said, would I come here solely for a woman? And he said, what are the Philippine people like? Well, to me, people are people. People are people wherever you go. People have the same emotions, the same feelings. They cry at the same things, and it's just some people's emotions of different things are at a different level. But generally speaking, and there's two chickens down here. There's two cockerels going to fight down here. They just eyeing each other up in my garden. I don't know who they belong to. Probably my neighbour. But I think people are people wherever you go. The one thing that I have picked up on here is the lack of thank yous. You don't get that many thank yous and pleases. Like what we would call in the West is just plain manners. I don't think they mean anything by it, but it's like my wife, when I've been doing this tiling, for an example, it's like a lack of appreciation. Or it's a lack of my understanding of appreciation. I want her to come and go, whoa, absolutely spot on, Steve, absolutely brilliant. Come on, we'll do something. Now she'll have a look, oh, that's really nice, or even if I say something, I say, what do you think? And she go, oh, yeah, it's really nice, but unless I've said something, she won't say anything. Or rarely. And that kind of irritates me a little bit. But that's how they are, people. That's just how they are. But people are people. Friendliness here. Well, the friendliness that I've experienced here has been good. I can't say it hasn't. But I think if you go to the bigger cities, it's just like in London or, when you go to the big cities in England or wherever you are in the world, people are less friendly because they are more busy. It's more competitive in the cities, so there is less time. But when I was in Cebu, people didn't have as much time for you, I think they are just damn nosy where I am. They are damn nosy. Two things they ask, when you first meet someone here, a man or a woman. If you meet a guy from you having a few drinks, join me for a shot. Yeah, John. The first thing they say is, how old are you, and are you married? Where'd you come from? And I said, I come from, the UK, the United Kingdom. What part of America is that? What part of America is the United Kingdom in? I said, no, it's not, because I don't think they have, geography lessons here. I don't think. But never mind. You got to laugh. You got to laugh. But friendliness, they are friendly here, but they're just nosy people. Filipinos are naturally nosy and inquisitive and very gossip mongering. They love a gossip. If there's anything to gossip about, and my wife is the same. She's a gossip. And I say, remember, don't get involved in other people's business. It's going to cause you nothing but problems in the end. Goes in there and out there. They just love a good gossip. Love a good gossip. Not only the women, the men as well. And they cause a lot of trouble by doing it as well, because they like to spread a lot of shit about people. Like it or not, it's true, people. It really is. Now, coming here for a woman, solely for a woman, I think, you might come here to check it out. But I think I might have said this before. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't give up everything in my own country for that thing, for that woman. I wouldn't give up everything. I wouldn't pack up and leave my country 100% for a woman. I would have to like where I am, because you got to think, nothing is forever, and relationships come and go. They do, people. We've got to be honest about this. They do. They come and go, and nothing is guaranteed. So I would have to be with someone for quite some time. Like I've been with my wife for 7 years now, to actually make. I mean, I'm not saying stay with someone for 7 years before you make that move, that commitment, but you'd have to be 110%, not 100%. You'd have to be 110%, because Filipinos haven't got anything to lose, have they? Because they live here, their family's here, everything is here for them. We, on the other hand, are giving up everything. We're giving up life as we know it. We're giving up friends. Some of us have been married before and have children, whether they be adults, which my children, in England are adults. We're giving that up for something that might not work. But you can't think of it like that. But you can definitely think of it as in the beginning: is this right for me? Is this woman right for me? And like I said, I would never give up something just for that. I would have to like the place I was staying, so if the worst come to the worst, I could still enjoy where I was living. Not just solely I don't like it here, but I like the woman. I think that's the wrong way around. That just could be me thinking, people. That just could be me. But I know like a lot of people have given up everything. They've been here once or twice and think, right, this is for me. And they've given up everything and it's worked. But I know there's probably going to be a high percentage of people who have done that and it hasn't worked. And of course, we've got to think about financial capabilities as well. You've got to have the finances to be able to sustain yourself. And if you're with a woman, sustain her as well. Many families think that you should sustain the family too, like the brothers, the sisters, the fathers, the mums, the granddads, grandmas. I don't do that. I did, I don't now. People, it's not our job to do that. It's not. Although they might think it is, it's not. Would a Filipino support the family? No. But they expect us to, because they think that we've got much more money. Well, granted, we probably have. But at the same time, the way we live is different to them. Meaning, I can't live on bullad. I can't live on ginamos. I can't live on a bit of grass or something like that, or a leaf. My wife can. I can't. So it costs me to live here more than what it would cost them. A lot more than what it would cost them. And of course we like treats, don't we? I like a bit of steak. I've had a bit of decent steak here. Yeah and no. I can't say it tasted like anything back home, because it didn't. But can't complain. There is lots of good things about the Philippines. But I do like it here. And if the worst happened between me and my wife, which I don't think it will, but like I said, we never know, I would continue living here. I would probably live the rest of my days here. But I do like the country. I like where I live. I like my way of life. I like the people around me. Granted, some Filipinos will be your friend because you're buying drinks. But hey, so what? It don't matter, does it? As long as you've got a bit of company and you like that company surrounding you, it doesn't matter. But I certainly wouldn't move here and give up everything in my country on a first or second meet. I just wouldn't do it. It's just not built in me to do that. I would have to come and suss the place out, like where I was at, because it's not just like in the place where you're at. It's everything that goes with it. You might like the people, but my goodness, sometimes it's testing here. The noise, the patience which you have to endure things here. It would send many Westerners over the hills and far away, running as far away from the Philippines as they possibly can. So it takes a special kind of something, or somebody, or character even, to put up with living here. Because, when you first come here, everything is glory, isn't it? It's like, wow, it's a tropical country. Look at all these coconut trees, look at all these fruit trees, look at this, look at the bananas growing in your back garden. Well, that novelty wears off. You might think, look at the carabao going up the road with, like a man riding a carabao with like a what do they call them on the back? I don't know what they call them, like a sleigh. what they drag along, and full of coconuts or carrying bamboo or something like that, which is, because I'd never seen that before, so that was new to me, and I quite enjoyed that now, but I see it all the time, and now I don't take no notice of it. So, you've got to be here for a while, I think. You've got to be here for a while, because when you're here for a short space of time, you don't really have to do anything. You're caught up in the moment of being with your woman, being with the family, enjoying what's around you. But when that has worn off, like going to the beaches, who wants to go to the beaches every single day? I used to live near a beach in Hastings, East Sussex, in the southeast of England. I never went there every day. I used to go fishing from time to time, but I was never there every day. It's the same here. I live quite close to a beach here, but I'm not there all the time. I'm not, and go out all the time person. So you got to think, can you settle in here? Can you settle in with this way of life? And if you can settle in with this way of life, then you can get by. And the church has started now. The singing, the God music. It's quite nice, actually. I mean, I said to my wife about going, but my son would not. He just runs all over the place, so she doesn't go there no more with my son, because he just doesn't settle. He's like a wild animal. He's honest to God, people. He is. And like I said earlier in this video, people are people wherever you go. Some people are more friendly than others, but I think you've got to love the Philippines to be able to live here. You have. So not only your partner, your wife, whoever, you've got to love living here. It's as simple as that. You've got to love this way of life. Jackie, you've got to love this way of life. Now, I don't love it, but I kind of, I've sank into it, if you know what I mean. I'm kind of adapted to it. I like it. I love it sometimes, and sometimes I damn well hate it because of the noise. Sometimes you'd be laid in bed and there'd be it's not sometimes, it's quite regular. A bike will go past with no baffles and they rev their engine. Why do they do that? I don't know. Why do Filipinos, when they get on their motorcycle first time, the engine's cold, they start the engine and rev the bollocks out of it. And then they go. They will rev it for like 5 minutes. A dry engine, there's no oil at the top of the engine, they rev the arse out of it. But that happens all the time. You've just got to like what you've just got to enjoy where you are. I'm not the person to be, to give advice on anything like that. It's because what works for me is not going to work for everybody else. I've got a family here now, and I've got a son and I've got a child on the way. So I've got like a lot of commitment. I've got a lot of responsibilities, which I do take, seriously. And but fortunately for me, I actually like this way of life. I like it's so liberal, where there's no one saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't go there. If I wanted to get on a motorcycle and go through this forest and go as far as I could, and no one would say anything to me. I don't do it, but imagine trying to do that in the UK. We used to do it, when we were younger. Like I remember as a kid, my father bought me my first motorcycle. I was 9 years old, and it was a Gilera 50, like a little kind of off-road bike, Italian, I believe. And used to ride that in the woods, and people used to phone up the police and complain. The council, they'd come, and it's terrible. But here you can do that if you live in the province. Obviously, if you live in the city, you couldn't do that because there's not so much greenery around you. And I do like the countryside. When I was born and bred in the northeast of England, it was a place called in Crook in County Durham, and it was a little bit like this. Obviously, no coconut trees, banana trees, and the such like. But I mean, the greenery and the the countryside. So I think I've always been like a country boy. I think a country, what do they call them? Country bumpkin or something they call them in the southeast of England or something. But I've always been like a lover of the country, a lover of fishing, the outdoors. So I think that's why I've been able to adapt here. Now I did live in the city, in Dipolog City, handy for everything, very convenient, but not for me. I miss it for the convenience, but I don't miss it to live there. I prefer to live in this place here, out the way. Here is, you get the the bush people, like new families moved down, and they are quite noisy, and they've got no consideration for anybody else. But my wife went down there and said something the other day. I think she made matters worse. I said, "Don't say anything," and she said, "I can't stand that." But she went down there, said something, made it worse, I think. But they speak to me all right. They speak to my wife all right as well. But here, nobody complains about anything. Like when you get brownouts, no one complains. It's just normal to them. They could be sat in, having a few beers, brownout, and they go, "Oh, I laugh, oh no, brownout." Well, I'm thinking, fucking hell, another brownout. It's all the time. So you've got to have patience, and you've got to be resilient, I think, really, and just take it. You've got to get that Western mindset out of your mind for a start. You've got to get that out of your head. You've got to stop thinking you can change where you're living and westernize the place you live in, because you simply can't do that. And the sooner you realize that, the better. You will be more contented. Many people can live here on a small amount of money as well. You've got to think, how much money have you got? Well, how much money do you need? You've got to think of that. We can get by on not so much as a lot of people, but we still spend quite a bit. Some people get by on much less. Some foreigners get by on much less than what we spend. But it is becoming more expensive as well. Becoming more expensive here, but I think it's becoming more expensive around the world. That's just the way of the world. That's year by year inflation and price increases. That's just normal, isn't it? But it is a heck of a lot more expensive here now than what it was when I first came. I would give it a shot. If you're coming here for a woman, come here, see what you... But don't forget, when you come here for a woman for the first time, she's going to be on her best behaviour, isn't she? And you're going to think, my goodness, this is a gem. It's a gem. Could be. But it also might not be. When they get to know you and you get to know them. And you'll be on your best behaviour too, of course you will. You'll be doing things that you wouldn't ordinarily be doing every day. But when that novelty wears off, then are you suited? I think if you were like a city girl and you're a city person, then you're halfway there. If I was with a city girl here, which was the first girl I got with, and that just didn't work out. Not only because of the scam, but just because we wasn't suited. Now, my girl, or my wife, is a province girl. I like that kind of way of life, so we get on quite well. Apart from the lack of appreciation, when you do things, you work your bollocks off, and you get a lack of appreciation, but that's it. And when I say, what do you think of that? It's too late then anyway, because it's always easy, it's very nice. But you wasn't going to say anything until I said something, was you? You wasn't going to say anything, as normal. No please and thank yous. Oh, look, here she is, look. She's little spying out the window because she's heard me talking. Ha ha! She's out the window, look. She was upstairs with my son a minute ago. She must have heard me talking and thinking, who's he talking to? Like I said, very nosy people. They are. But that being said, I'm going to go now. She's going to go and say, that's what she'll do to me now. She'll go, what are you talking about me for? Ha ha! Listen, people, have a great weekend. Catch you soon. I'm going to finish up my coffee. Catch you later, people. Thank you very much for dropping by and watching me content. Bye-bye.